So when we look at 20th century, at a glance, we'll see that how it begins and how it ends. And that will give you a clue that why these many genres and movements evolved and erupted in this century. So we'll begin with Nietzsche gave his famous statement, God is dead in 1900. So as it is evident that any statement like God is dead and we have killed God, no, is going to disturb the audience, disturb people. And that is what had happened in 1900 itself. So the beginning of the century, we can see that it begins with the idea of Nietzsche. God is dead. And then we have in 1906, we have Einstein who gave his theory of relativity. That means that everything, time and space, they are related. I'll not get deeper into these things. I'll just give you a blueprint of what time period we are going to enter. Then we get into Husserl's phenomenology in 1907. So Husserl's phenomenology is the study of structures of experiences or consciousness. That is the structure of appearance of things. So when now we are getting into like theory of relativity, and after that we are into this philosophical study of consciousness. So consciousness is one term which will lead to the idea of individuality later on in this century itself. One very major event took place in 1908, and that is Ford car. Henry Ford produces the Model T Ford, the world's first mass-produced car. So before that, it was very difficult for people to afford car, and Henry Ford had a very interesting journey before he developed this Model T Ford car, which was a mass-produced car and which people of the middle class they could afford. So it became something which was mass produced and which was affordable by people. And Henry Ford also brought in the idea that he actually turned this whole idea of business in a very different way. He took it that we have to pay our the people who are working, the workers, a good salary so that they become stable in that particular industry. So two major contribution that Henry Ford had was that these cars became very affordable to many people, and also that so many workers, they thought that they deserve better salary, and that had to change the course of salaries for many other companies. Then we come to the principles of mathematics that was by Russell and Whitehead, which was co-authored by them. And this also changed certain ideas in mathematics. So the theories which were applicable so far, they were now changing, be it in industry, be it in psychology, be it in philosophy. So we are looking at different ideas which are evolving in this century, and we can not forget the major event 1914 to 1918, that is World War I, that leads to the collapse of Russia, German, Ottoman, and Austro-Hungarian Empire. That also had given a jolt to so many people because it was mass disruption that took place. We have the October Revolution that takes place in 1917. In 1921, this Logico Philosophicus got published. In 1922, we have Stalin, who is made General Secretary of Communist Party of Russia. So what we are looking at is the rise of communism, but in the name and stature of Stalin, who will very soon who became a tyrant. Then a major thing that happened, all these are obviously major things, but in different areas. Freud publishes his work, The Ego and the Id, in 1923, and that changed a lot of our ideas about psyche, about our unconscious mind. He talks about ego and id, and he talks about the idea that it is the unconscious that determines the functions of the conscious mind, and that unconscious is something that we don't know about yet. So that changed our concept of psychology and human nature, and that had a long lasting effect. Even now, even though his theories have been challenged widely by various feminists and other scholars, scholars, but we cannot deny that he actually brought in certain issues like sexuality and unconsciousness into the consciousness of people. Then we have Heidegger's Being and Time, which introduces the concept of existentialism. We have the Wall Street clash that leads to global economic depression that obviously would affect a lot of things in material sense for people. Then we have Karl Popper's The Logic of Scientific Discovery. Then we have World War II, in which more than 60 million people died. 1939 to 1945. So 60 millions people dying. Just before that, we are looking at so many publications, so many ideas which are evolving. And then we see 60 million people dying. Obviously, that is going to lead to a lot of disillusionment about various ideas around ourselves. So that is very much visible in the literature of the 20th century that we'll be studying. Sartre's Being and Nothingness got published in 1943 and 1949. The communists under Mao Zedong proclaimed the People's Republic of China. Fano publishes Black Skin, White Mask in 1952. So we, after 1950, we are looking at a very different phase in the world, in our philosophy, in our understanding of people, and we are looking at two-way process of something that can be seen from upside down and from downside up. So that is how we can see that certain publications such as Black Skin, White Mask, which talk about people who are black skin, but they have the mentality of white people, and they would like to be them. So that gives rise to that post-colonial studies. And then feminist proclamation by Simone de Beauvoir comes in 1953 in the second sex, where she talks about that women are the second sex, they are the alterity, they are always the other. So the otherness of women. So what we are looking at, that we are looking at things like black skin being talked about, things like women being talked about. And then Vietnam War that takes place, which is also called televised war in 1955. So this is again something which is very important. It was like a product of a students movement. So we are looking at the students, we are looking at black people, we are looking at women, all of them are coming up with certain ideas. So what we are looking at basically is that ideas, thoughts, understanding, they're coming from all directions, be it science, be it psychology, be it philosophy, be it sociology. So we have a lot of changes. It's a time period of dynamism that we are looking at. Then Kuhn gave the concept of paradigm. He gives the concept of paradigm shift. So he gives a concept that nothing in this in science also is static. There is nothing like static knowledge, and every knowledge is changing. There are paradigm shifts that take place. In 1964, we have the Civil Rights Act. So basically what we are looking at in these ways, as I said, that different theories are evolving, which are landmark theories. Different ideas are coming, which were never there before. It is a complete shift, or rather it is an evolution of what was going on for a long time. And now it has come to a stage where it is showing its effect in terms of world war, in terms of market, in terms of economic depression, in terms of philosophical development, in terms of labor party rising, in terms of students talking about themselves, in terms of black people talking about themselves. So we are looking at voices, we are looking at different dynamic ideas in the 20th century.